I have to be honest, over the last 6 months, I've been feeling a bigger gap form between who I am and who I know I am stepping up into being in that new potential. So I was wondering, could I achieve more in 90 days than I did the whole of last year? That's the hypothesis I want to test in this 90-day lock-in. In this video, I'm sharing what my goals are, how I plan to achieve them, and the process I'm following. So if you want to do the same, you can. And I'm also going to document in a playlist for this, my journey throughout this whole 90 days. Personally, I love watching this type of content. I've watched so many YouTubes on like how to change your life or your resets or Dr. Joe Spencer's work and 75 hard. I love the idea of quantum leaping, timeline jumping, all those different buzzwords, because in hindsight, when I look back on my life, and you'll probably see this in your life as well, I've had huge periods of my life where I've made massive change. And in hindsight, I'm so proud of myself because some of those changes I was unaware of how big and how extravagant those changes actually are until now I can look back, and I'm just so grateful that I did the scary thing. I committed, I dedicated myself, I stayed consistent, and then the result paid off. And I'm sure there is moments in your life where you've had the exact same. So my question to myself was, well, instead of just like waiting for that to happen, why not create it and be intentional right now? And the season of life I'm in right now, that just feels so right. The way we built our business last year and the results we're seeing, we're really ready to scale. Plus it's our wedding in August. So that is already a built-in timeline jump, new identity right there. So what perfect time to set some goals prior to that. And then also just where I'm at, my current life circumstances, I've got the time and space to lock in a way that I haven't this intentionally before. I have had moments where I have, but it's been more in hindsight. So I want to feel really proud of myself at the end of the year, and then specifically I've gotten clear on what I want to feel at the end of my 90 days. And I'm going to share this whole with you and break it down. So first of all, where did it all start? Well, I filled in this at the beginning of the year. I printed it out. It's Mel Robbins. Anyone can download it. It was awesome. It forced me to reflect in a very detailed way. But then it was like stayed on my mind. Hang on, I filled this in, but I'm yet to, just because I filled it in, like I did one step better than just looking at it like I'm sure I did in previous years, but it's still not enough. I need to feel myself action on this. So I hired a coach, and I'm in her container, and now I'm starting this 90-day sprint. So I'm treating my 90-day sprint as a literal experiment. So I thought, why not refresh my memory on like what setting a hypothesis, do an experiment back in science class, what was that process again? So I'll share that with you. First, you have an observation. So this is where you just notice a pattern or problem that's happening. So why a 90-day lock-in? Well, it's about having a specific period of time, and personally in business, it works. We work in quarters, so it's just about 90-day quarters, 3 months. So it's perfect in alignment with what I do there. So, and then I've decided to make it that I'm testing the hypothesis of, can I achieve more in this next 90 days than I did the whole of last year? So in order to put that to test, I had to break it down. So what I did is step one is looking at the 4 pillars of life, the universal observations, which is health, wealth, relationships, and happiness. And honestly, this is where what I did here helped just to reflect, but it's just kind of like brainstorming. Okay, what are the patterns? What do I like? What don't I like? How did last year look? You go through each month of the year, go through your camera roll. What did you do? And Mel Robbins thing, it just helps you reflect on it. I don't need to repeat what's in here. Mel Robbins, and she has a YouTube video on it, says it perfectly. This is where I believe experiments come into play. So how you achieve a lot in your business is experiments, and behind any person's success, essentially they made a hypothesis and they tested it, or they borrowed someone else's hypothesis and tested it for themselves and may have typically you make some tweaks because you got to make it your own. Like, we're all unique human beings. So I thought, why not refresh my memory back in science class? What was it like to set an experiment and a hypothesis, all those things? So the steps of an experiment, I'll put it up on the screen here. I drew it out for myself, broke it down. So you've got the observation, so you're noticing a pattern or problem. Then step 2 is research. So this is where you want to define exactly what you want to solve. Now I'm thinking it would be really helpful if I break this down and give you a tangible example as we go. I want to break down what I'm doing and why. So then by giving you the example of what I'm doing, and then I'll share with you the framework so that you can do it yourself. So I first, by looking at each of my areas of my life, and I use this just to go through my camera roll, see what each month looked like. I did my business reflection that I typically do at the end of every month, reflected over all of them and my end of year. And then I decided on step 2, which is my custom lock-ins. So for me, I chose identity and connection lock-in, an energy and health lock-in, a business unlaunch lock-in, and my life lock-in. So inside of each of those 4 lock-ins, and I would say you don't want any more than like 4 goals within your 90 days, 4 would be the most. You're setting like the goal for that category in the way of a hypothesis. So the hypothesis is your prediction. It must be, this is what I learned, refresh my memory of, is it must be testable and falsifiable, which means you're brave enough to put a number to it. So for example, 30 customers. So then therefore at the end of the 90 days, you actually can look at the data and like have something specific to measure it to. So then what's happening here is your hypothesis should be an if-then statement. So for example, I said for my first one, which is I called it identity and connection lock-in, and here you're about to understand why, is if I start my day by connecting to my future self and being connected to my start of day and end of day tasks, then I will complete big projects for my businesses and show up in my new identity, which makes taking action easier. So that's a bit of a longer one, but it's like that was my hypothesis. So then I needed to reverse engineer what actions, I call them inputs. What inputs do I need to do? Do I believe I need to do? I want to experiment to do what variables in order that I believe those variables will get me that result. So the result is just stepping into my new identity and feeling really clear on what I need to start the day with, what tasks I need to get completed by the end of the day, and checking in with that. So I could have called this category mindset. I could have called this category business accountability, but I personally feel connected with the term identity and connection lock-in. That means I'm like, oh, I'm locked in. That feels good for me. So you got to figure out what it is for you. So what am I predicting? So what's my experiment? So that's my hypothesis. Now, my reasoning why is because my to-do list is huge. I've got a lot I want to achieve. I'm taking this experiment seriously. I'm literally seeing if I can get more done in this 90 days than I did last year, but still enjoying my life. I live by the beach with my dog, which you might have seen her in the background of this video. I think she's right behind me right now, if you can see her. Yeah, I'll show you. And I'll be taking her for a walk after I finish this recording. And it's just really important to me that I feel connected to that, because I was noticing since the beginning of this year, like, oh, I can feel so overwhelmed and then do like the littler tasks and not do the big tasks. And I just needed to get my focus right. So by having a simple start a day, end a day, and what I'm going to share is in my next video in this playlist series, I'm going to share exactly how I'm doing each of these tasks so you get the full picture, but I don't want this video to be so long. This video is about what I'm doing, why, and how I've set this paper up. And then the next video is how I've then actually set up my home and my office so that I can do these tasks. So if you want to follow along, I've hopefully made it a lot easier for you. I know this is the type of video I would have personally loved to consume. So, what my tasks are. So I am reading my affirmations and my goals. So I've got them in my phone, a long list to journal, to write my end of days at the start of the day. And so that's the little box across I might put up on the screen. I realized by removing all the technology and just being like, I write it down on this paper, that is going to serve me the most during this 90-day lock-in, and ClickUp and everything else just supports with that piece. And then my end of day clock off. So at the end of my day, I have revisited and I've either ticked, crossed, whatever I did achieve off. So then I can really reflect, and I'll get better and better at predicting what I can achieve in a day, what I've got going on, etc., etc. So I'm physically seeing it. So that's that. Now, the next one is my health. So I call this energy and health lock-in. So this one here, it is, if I complete my health and energy lock-in input tasks, then I will lose 10 kilograms. That is super simple, straightforward, and that's because I'm, what do they call it? Shredding for the wedding. And so, yeah, that's super fun. So my goals here is 10,000 steps every day, 4 workouts a week, 5 times I'm tracking in FitnessPal. That's it. That's what I'm looking in. And then I do have like a coach that sets my workouts. I have some group classes I go to, and yeah, my coach also helps with like the nutrition and FitnessPal side of things. So I'm fully locked in with support from my coach, the gym, the classes I go to, and my routine there. So that feels really good. And you can see here how I reverse engineered how I can achieve that goal. If we go to this chart here, I have done a lot of research, and in hiring a coach, I was able to ask her like, okay, what are the needle movers for me? Because it's so easy to get bogged down in all of, there's so many different things you can do for your health, but I just had to had to decide on my inputs, the variables, and in this case, I chose the 3 variables to stick to and track. And so far, I'm seeing awesome results. And it's one of those things where, for example, by doing the FitnessPal, I then get my protein goal and nutrition goal and all those little things inside of that. But I was able to just make it simple. It's those 3 exact variables with a certain calorie target, etc., etc. But if I'm not getting the result, I can go back to my tracking and be like, okay, well, did I do my input? And then if I did my input, why is it not working? And okay, maybe we need to tweak something in the nutrition or in the exercise or whatever the case may be. But if you're not doing it in the first place, that's what makes the experiment and testing the hypothesis obsolete, redundant. So the next one is my business unlaunch lock-in. My hypothesis for this is if I execute the specific content inputs of the Unlaunch framework, which is YouTube and Reels, then I will generate a predictable pipeline of dream clients. And so, and then I have a specific one for our other business with like the number of clients or customers in that business model. And so that is what I've got written there with all the specifics, and it's 250 customers for our other business. And it's really exciting to be able to, I could probably do a whole video on this. I love talking about Unlaunch if this is the first video you're watching from me. But in the Unlaunch process here that's on the screen, you're looking at this and it's like, what piece of running the marketing and sales in your business do you need more focus on in order to hit the result, the goal you want? And so in this case, yes, I've got a few other little projects of finalizing a new offer I'm launching, and I'm going to be hosting an in-person event in the coming weeks which you'll get to see unfold here in this 90-day lock-in. But what's important here, when me and my partner Reese, for both of our businesses, looked at the area, we just need to focus in on the traffic source, because we've got the funnels, the conversions, the sales in place, even the offers, the messaging, the problem solution. So for us, the focus is on traffic. So therefore, what you're about to hear is that all of my business lock-ins are heavily lent to traffic, are only lent to traffic. Any of the other projects, fulfillment, that's all taken care of in my end of week, start of weeks, and it already flows. Like, I'm already doing that. So it's not it's not something I need to put more intention into, because I've already got that. It's that whole thing of like, if you're already brushing your teeth, no problem brushing your teeth, but you want to add in flossing your teeth, well, then you need to possibly give it more focus and more attention until it becomes that habit, which comes back to like the 90-day thing. People say 21 days, 70, like research. Honestly, it doesn't matter what the research says here. It's what helps you, how long you need to do something for it to be an automatic habit. And so with my business lock-in, it is 2 YouTubes here, which is huge growth for me. I've been wanting to do my YouTube channel since I first started in 2016. Then I met Jake Paul in person and saw his YouTube, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I've obviously watched him grow his YouTube like a lot after that. But then I was like, oh, that's not what I want to do on YouTube. Forgetting that my channel can look very different. Anywho, then I want to do 2 posts a week, 2 stories a week. Next one is the life lock-in. When you're looking at the life lock-in, it's whatever is in your current season of life. For me, I've got the wedding happening. The way I ask myself for this is, what are going to be some big needle movers that I think will help me overall with my life? And so here I've just put it as done a wedding task, because I know what that means. It means that I've ticked something off in my ClickUp. I've got it all planned out in my ClickUp. I'll show you in that next video. Then next, I've got 5 early bed routines. So Reese and I have been in a very late night routine, like very, very late, like technically early morning. We've been going to bed anywhere between 1 to 4 a.m. and then waking up, around 11 a.m. Well, give or take, it's anywhere from like 9 till 11, depending on the time we go to bed. And it's like, that really served us during summer. Horrible problem to have, but the sunrise comes up, and it is so early, the sunrise, and it is so hot. So it just, with our lifestyle and our puppy, it just makes sense that the hours we were sleeping, and then sunset so much later. Like the sun isn't setting until wasn't setting till like 7. That it just flowed that way. We were happy working that way. We don't have children at the moment, just a puppy. And so, but now we want to get back to the routine that we also love. That's something I've also learned, talking to myself nicer, and that makes this lock-in a way better experience. And so so we're doing an earlier bed routine. So what I've got written here, to be specific, is like nighttime routine starting at 9:30. So that's when like wind down, showers, etc. Is all happening. I'm not starting to clean the house at 9:30. And so then it's a 6:30-ish wake up. Give or take, it might be a bit earlier, it might be a bit later. But the most important thing to me is, because we don't have to set an alarm with our current lifestyle and routines, I don't want to set an alarm. I want to wake up when my body, and typically I always wake up once I've had 8 hours sleep. That's clockwork typically. And so therefore, that's why I'm setting a bedtime versus a wake up time. I have done the wake up time. I could do a whole video on that saga, and all I can say is that there's a time and place when that is applicable, but I'm just savoring the fact that I don't have to. And there's certain days where, I might book in a class and I want to make sure I'm up, so I'll set an alarm, or I might have a meeting with my coach, so I make sure I set an alarm so I wake up at the time I want to. But other than that, like 90% of the time, there's no reason for an alarm. So therefore, I need to go to bed earlier if I want to get up and catch the sunrise, because the sunrise is going to be like 6 a.m. ish in like a few days. So that will be perfect. Then lastly, this one's just a little personal one. It's posting for Ziara. I thought, you know what? She loves the camera. She loves people and I'm always sending the videos to my family and friends. So I'm gonna just set myself a little challenge to start a dog channel, her own little doggy channel, and it's a part of another challenge I'm doing inside of this for content, which I just realized I forgot to tell you my hypothesis for my life lock-in. That is, if I complete my life lock-in input tasks, then I will be on track for my wedding and feel calm and enjoy the process. I feel like my word going into the wedding is like savor, present. I just want to savor the moment, enjoy it. And I will be able to complete everything and enjoy my life because of my sleep routine, and by the end of my 90 days, my apartment will be upgraded with all the organization, because I must have forgotten the last one is a one organized upgrade, which essentially is like a 2-hour block I want to do every week. Just like, yeah, there's little things I just want to upgrade the organization. It's like, it's been awesome, but I now can see how else I can change it. And that will just like make me feel even better stepping into, I feel like when you are doing a big and you're taking action on your identity and you've done an identity upgrade in your mindset and who you're being, all of a sudden you want your environment to support in that. And it's honestly, it's like a very clearing thing to then see your wardrobe reflect that, your pantry, my hallway wardrobe, the office area, you know, like it's so satisfying to have that physical representation around you as well. So I want to allow time for that. I hope hearing mine at the same time you might have been inspired for yourself. So I'm going to go through the system for you to now lock in your 90 days if that's what you'd like to do. A few little reminders of what this lock-in means, just to get you into the state before you answer these questions and do this process if you want to, is the time. These are like the quotes that I put on my reminders, and if you want to download this and have a copy of this, I will make it available. But these are the reminders that mean the most to me, and I can share it. I'll share this probably as a Canva doc so that you can go in and actually change it yourself. And you can put your own reminders. The time will pass anyways, so decide what you want to do. Track your inputs, not outcomes, and you'll be consistent and achieve results. Measure your progress based on your immediate inputs, what you do have control of, which is your actions and your mindset. If it's important for your highest self, decide one time and trust yourself to follow through. Don't keep renegotiating the decision. So when you are setting this up, know that you're deciding once with your highest self in mind, which is what this process here that I've written out to support you does, and it's doing that exactly for me, because we do not break promises to ourselves. You know, I'm pretty sure you're someone who, if you make a promise to a friend to meet them somewhere or do something, you follow through. And if you don't meet them, you have a good reason and you're apologetic, and you know, you may even feel a little bit bad because you know you made a commitment. Imagine if you had that for yourself. With that being said, this is the steps. Step 1, you are looking at the 4 pillars of your human life, which is health, wealth, relationships, and happiness. Reflect in each of them. How did it go last year? How did it feel? If you want to do a real deep dive, get Mel Robbins' best year thing. I'm sure if you just go to her YouTube, go to her website, it's there. It's a free downloadable. Then step 2, now you want to make it your custom lock-ins. You want to choose which subcategories you want to lock in for the 90 days and name them with what connects to you, how you talk. So what's your goal for each of that subcategory then, which you just heard me go through, and you're writing that goal as step 3 as your hypothesis, and you want to write your reasonings why. So I kind of stated my reasonings why, but I wrote it out with a lot more detail because, hey, I'm deciding this commitment of what I've committed to here once, and I'm following through and keeping that promise to myself. And of course, if along the way I realize I really do need to change something, I will. But I'm not going to make a habit of that, just like I would treat my friend that I'm meeting for coffee. So then step 4, you want to reverse engineer how you think you can achieve that goal, that result. So brain dump all your ideas, research. This is where you might talk to your coach, your friend, watch a YouTube video, read a book, whatever it might be. You ask yourself, what are my inputs, actions I can do, and that you have control over. And of course, this is where you totally talk to AI. And so then now in step 5, you are setting the hypothesis and the experiment. You're writing your exact plan down. So that's what you just heard me do. I set my exact hypothesis. I knew my categories. I really felt connected to my why. I did my research. I hired coaches where applicable to help me in the process with business. I have even hired a coach there to just help with the scaling of our businesses, and she's like a coach / therapist at the same time. So it's a beautiful combination of helping me with my identity in the process. And then once you've set your hypothesis and your experiment, your step 6, you need to set how you'll keep track, and you want to make it easy for yourself to always track during the lock-in. So for example, before I made this, I just had it in my head I was just going to make it in Google Sheets. So I quickly scribbled on a piece of paper in like 30 seconds what I want this to look like, but on Google Sheets. And then I nearly opened up Google Sheets and I just like paused and I reflected. I'm like, can I imagine myself opening up another tab on my computer every day to mark off my habits? And I'm like, no. And then I thought, and I nearly did the whole post-it note thing up on the wall. And I'm like, I want something more satisfying. And then I realized, oh my gosh, coloring in boxes. How good is that? So I am coloring in green when I do it. Black is when it was unapplicable to that day. And red is when I haven't done it. I didn't even want to do ticks or crosses or whatever. I wanted to color in a mini box, and I made my step box just that little bit bigger so that I could actually see the number of steps I did do. And to me, I'm gonna have like 3 of these because it's in 30-day lots. It's just so satisfying to me. And honestly, coloring is something that I will pick up in the evening sometimes. It's so good. Or even I'll start my morning with it. Sometimes I'll like be playing a course or training or something, whatever I'm upskilling myself in, and I'll be coloring in at the same time. It is so satisfying. I love little craft projects. So what I'm trying to say here is step 6 is you need to decide how you want to keep track. Because once this plan is set, the hypothesis is set, guess what the time is to just do the experiment and track. And if you're not tracking, this is where it comes back to our science model, I'm going to call it, is you've got to be able to experiment and you have to test the hypothesis by having a set strict of rules. You know the variables, you know your inputs. Then what happens is if you get to even 30 days and you're reflecting and you're not liking the direction it's going and you need to make some tweaks, well then you can go back around and do a bit of research, hire a coach, whatever you might need to do to then make a better hypothesis that then you're experimenting with. For example, like I just made a tweak to one of our sales pages and straight away we got the 2 upgrades. The goal was to have people upgrade before they got even inside, and I made this one tweak to the page. The next 2 sales were the upgrades. And so you make those little tweaks because you are so clear on what you want it to achieve. And because you're actually tracking, you can then analyze the data and you want to look at the raw data without emotions. That's been a whole process on its own for me to get to this place. Because I would make it mean that I was like a failure or a success depending on how good I was. And now I realize there's a separation between me and the work I do and the habits I want to create. It's just being human. So then you're reporting your conclusions. You're determining if the data supports or refutes your hypothesis. Oh, is this achieving what I want to? Where do I need to course correct? And that's that whole science experiment thing. And remember, this 90 days is meant to bring things to the surface. That is what growth looks like. It's something I'm always having to remind myself when it's like feeling like messy or sticky or a bit resistance. It's like, oh, I I love growth. This is the actual experience of growth. So if you are going to do a 90-day lock-in as well, then I would love for you to go over to my Instagram. I'm thinking that'll be the easiest place, and DM me 90-day lock-in, and let's share with me what you're thinking of doing. Talk it out with me. We can send a few voice messages back and forth and keep the momentum rolling. But I'll be here documenting how I'm going with this. And the most important thing is that you are so connected to what you're doing, but then equally you're got that separation that this is an experiment and you've made a hypothesis and you're now testing that hypothesis. Final thing I thought to share, Parkinson's law is a great example of this. So if you haven't heard of Parkinson's law, essentially Parkinson's law is how much time you give a task is the time it will take. And so if we apply the Parkinson's law, and I've got an exact example here of applying it to setting a hypothesis, running an experiment. This is, for example, what scientists observed. They first observed that when students or employees are given a month to do a task, it took a month. When given a week to do the same tasks, it took a week. So the quality of the work often was the same, whether they got given a month or a week to do that same task. So the question is, does the amount of time allocated to a task change the efficiency of the person performing it? So therefore, the hypothesis, the prediction, the if-then statement is, if a group is given a shorter, restricted deadline for a task, then will they complete it with the same level of quality as a group with a longer deadline? They did the experiment, and scientists took two groups of people and asked them to solve a complex set of word puzzles. Group A, the control, was given 1 hour to finish. Group B, the variable, was given 20 minutes to finish. Scientists watched for procrastination behaviors, sharpening pencils, checking the clock, staring at the wall, all of that. So in the data, the analysis of it, they witnessed that Group A, that got an hour, finished the puzzles, but spent the first 40 minutes working slowly, second guessing themselves, taking little breaks, where Group B, that only had 20 minutes, they entered the state of flow. They focused immediately, ignored distractions, and finished the puzzles. So the result is both groups had the exact same level of accuracy, but Group B got it done quicker. So therefore, the conclusion is the scientists supported the hypothesis. They concluded that a longer deadline doesn't lead to better work. It only leads to more mental drama and wasted energy. So this is where, for myself, I actually like to call my work sessions like Post-it note exams, because it's like, oh yep, I write what I need to get done on a Post-it note or on my planner. I was someone in exams that I could just like get in and focus. I loved exam setting. When you compare an exam versus an assignment, how did you show up for both? I would prepare for an exam and then I would get into the room and I was able to just focus. And I loved how I showed up in that space. Whereas an assignment, I would get there and I would end up loving the assignment, but I definitely would overthink and perfect. Where in an exam, I just had to enter a state of flow and trusting myself immediately. So in the next video of this playlist, you will see exactly how I'm setting myself up so that following through on each of these is easy. So the different things I've done in ClickUp, around the home, in the office to make this doable. If you would like a copy of this, message me and I'll send you the link so that you can make it your own and have the satisfaction of coloring it in. All right, I'll see you in the next video.